Welcome everyone to Cinema Spotlight, where I talk about a director's filmography from their first to their most recent. Here I am on Peter Jackson's work, a man who adapted J.R.R. Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings into 3 prestigious films. Here I am going to do something a little new here, where I'm reviewing the same film, only the extended edition that was released 4 months after the theatrical was released on DVD. The experience going into this is no different than watching a theatrical, only you just have a little bit more to look at. Different exposition points, new dialogue within the same scene, extended scenes, fleshed out character development that help with later scenes, and the list just goes on and on. Talking to you about this won't be a rehash of me talking about the plot or vaguely mentioning how the technical craft of this film was astounding. This will be talking points on what I believe were great within the extended edition, what I felt should have made it into the theatrical, what scenes I loved originally, and what scenes I loved in the extended. More or less meaning I get to gush about the film more and be a complete nerd. Without further ado, let's get into the first segment. I didn't think I could love a film more, but turns out I can, and the love that I have for this runs deeper now than it ever could. Just in the theatrical cut alone, I could pick about every other scene and just say, I loved that, definitely that, and oh god, that. It could go on and on, so if I really had to buckle down and pick, I don't know, 10, ranging from aesthetically pleasing, emotionally impactful, funny, etc., then it would be these. And of course, these are not ranked. Honestly, the moment Frodo is safe on the Buckleberry Ferry and the Nazgul horse screeches to a halt, screaming at the hobbits, adds a considerable amount of chills in how haunting the imagery is. When the Nazgul run back and one of them lets out a wailing scream, yeah. Much can be said about the burden Frodo is carrying, especially with the ring and what it's doing to everybody around him. He's feeling the guilt, and he just doesn't know what to do with it. Even worse, he's also holding on to the death of Gandalf, feeling the weight of his absence, but holding on to his wisdom. But all of that pales in comparison when Frodo ultimately makes the choice that he has to go on his own and no one really can help him. Aragorn is technically the last person Frodo speaks to before departing, and their words are poignant, real, absolutely heartbreaking.
I would have gone with you to the end. Into the very fires of Mordor.
I could watch that scene over and over again, and it will still break my heart. Boromir was hot and cold from the time we meet him. One minute he's a know-it-all with a driving purpose to be the best that there is, to a blubbering mess completely succumbing to the ring's power and alienating everyone around him. There are some scenes where he is actually supportive, but nothing is more sad when it comes to his ultimate demise, redeeming himself from the sudden outburst in front of Frodo and saving his kin in retaliation. Only to take arrows to the chest. This sort of saves him from becoming a raving egomaniac and a complete jerk. But his last words to Aragorn,
I would have followed you, my brother. My captain. My king.
are incredibly heartfelt, very revealing, and a push in the right direction in Aragorn's arc, because you know what he's kind of avoiding to do and realizes this may be something he shouldn't ignore. Nothing will make me more glued to the screen in anticipation more than the orcs coming to annihilate the Fellowship. No thanks to Pippin touching something that he shouldn't be, alerting the orcs of their whereabouts. We get an amazing, unexpected battle with a handful of orcs and a cave troll.
They have a cave troll.
Yeah. We first meet Gandalf when he is traveling back to Hobbiton. If you've seen The Hobbit, then you know he's been here before. Frodo greets him after hearing Gandalf sing "The Road Goes Ever On." As they talk, a few children who know that Gandalf is here run up to his carriage hoping he'll light off a few fireworks. After a point where it doesn't look like he will, he lights them off at the last moment, making the children very happy. Making me happy too.
Be careful, both of you. The enemy has many spies in his service.
I love what was said, and it was just a very somber, haunting moment. It was really good. After an unexpected scene of Galadriel turning into a complete whited-out angel... Okay, listen, I'm just throwing in a joke here. Don't come at me, because I know she didn't turn into an angel. But she advises Frodo that, well, he's going to have to be alone, and he's going to have to make that decision for himself, seeing how this is a very weighted burden. She leaves him with an astonishing quote.
Even the smallest person can change the course of the future.
Inspirational one at that.
When did Saruman the Wise abandon reason for madness?
Unexpected and brutal. Two wizards duking it out because one clearly has more reason than the other. Unfortunately, Saruman wins the fight, locking Gandalf in the top of the tower, but that doesn't change the fact that the fight between them was downright badass. Gandalf, Frodo, Aragorn, Boromir, Sam, Merry, Pippin, Legolas, and Gimli. You get the idea. The Fellowship is formed, an odd set of members of together of a common purpose. What could possibly go wrong? Oh, wait. Someone could ask where they're going after it's obviously clear.
Right. Where are we going?
The fight between Aragorn and Lurtz is another brutal battle. But it's not just the slices and dices that are especially hard-hitting here. There was a moment when Lurtz gets beheaded quite unexpectedly, and I watched this scene in the theater while I was watching the film for the first time, and some lady somewhere in the audience just let out a single "Woo!" I am with you on that. Let us get into the scenes of the extended that I absolutely loved. So much goes into establishing a vast world within a reasonable amount of time. I really enjoyed Bilbo's intro and how he talked about his own kind. Don't get me wrong, I love the way it started out in the theatrical, but this was a really nice touch. I like the small glimpse of where we get other hobbits speculating on their stance in the world and how they feel about it. And they get to kind of poke fun at Frodo, and you kind of just get a glimpse of Frodo kind of like, doesn't bother me none that you think I'm weird. What are you going to do about it? Merry and Pippin are singing. That was a really nice extension to their characters. And Sam getting defensive over a fellow hobbit, sweet talking Rosie, was a nice touch. I really loved that moment. Aragorn provides food for the night, and the hobbits rest while Aragorn sings. This surprising portion of the scene was where Frodo actually understood the Elvish language that Aragorn is singing and asks him about it. I love this mostly because it's the time we get to know Aragorn the most. I liked hearing Elrond's monologue in the beginning, giving the Fellowship blessings on their journey, and Aragorn gives a rather sorrowful goodbye to Arwen. As the Fellowship draws closer to the walls of Moria, Gandalf asks to talk with Frodo. There is a warning for Frodo by Gandalf that while outside forces are a great threat, there might be a greater threat within the Fellowship. To add more things to worry about, the ring is getting heavier. This is a short moment, but I feel like an important one where Gandalf talks about Smeagol after Frodo catches Gollum following them. This is a tidbit that I'll get into later as to why I feel like this is a scene that I felt like should have been kept in the theatrical, mostly because it just serves a very important plot piece, but we'll get into that later. This is a moment in the sequence of the battle in the mines that I absolutely love. Aragorn and Boromir try to help save Sam from the cave troll squashing him by pulling him back with the chain that's attached to the troll. But when the troll is diverted, Boromir is still holding on to the chain and gets flung across the area. Aragorn saves Boromir's life from an orc, and then we proceed back to the troll wreaking havoc towards Gimli. This was probably an unnecessary tidbit, but it's still a lot of fun. Getting close to the end, this is a really great scene that stops the Fellowship. They have to regroup, convince the lead elf Haldir that they should pass, and then they are led to Galadriel. I only say it's great because I kind of liked getting more of the reveal of Boromir, the disdain that people are starting to feel about this journey, and everybody's exhausted after this point, especially since Gandalf fell, and it was just kind of like, oh my God, we're going to some place that's supposed to help, but it's not letting us go by. We're kind of stopping, and now we can't help but reflect. And I really enjoy seeing these moments, especially when Frodo is grieving, and Boromir kind of talks to him and says, don't carry the weight of the dead. Aragorn convinces Haldir, the lead elf, to allow them to pass, and the fact that Haldir gets more screen time is kind of cool because he shows up in the Two Towers. So you kind of have a little bit more of an identification. So this is a 2-for-1, mostly because they really go hand in hand. I enjoy both segments because this shows how the characters know about the Uruk-hai and why they're taking the river instead of walking. Funny tidbits of how Lambris bread should be filling enough for a grown man when taking a small bite, along with the gifts Sam, Merry, and Pippin, Frodo, Legolas, and Gimli are bestowed. All of these are beautiful scenes. So this one could have been just included in the aforementioned scene of extended favorite tidbits, but I didn't want to. Mostly because this is my absolute #1 favorite. If I had ranked them, this would be #1. This scene was well executed, beautifully spoken, and 100% sentimental. Gimli talks about the gift that was bestowed upon him by Galadriel. Beyond jewels, knives, swords, bows, and belts, Gimli asks for a single strand of hair from Galadriel. She gives him 3. Alright, we're going to be moving forward to scenes that I felt like should have been in the theatrical. So this is going to be a very short list. I won't go into a large list this time because there are just too many scenes within the extended edition I felt should have been left in a theatrical cut. But these scenes that I'm picking, I was a little shocked that they weren't left in there to begin with and just kind of left for a later watch. Well, maybe 2 out of the 3. Yeah. This one especially. Gandalf talking to Frodo about Smeagol's life being a sad story. That was left in the extended edition, only for it to pop up as a conversation in the Two Towers when Frodo confronts Gollum and speaks with him. To keep that scene would have just made so much sense, and not just a nod to those who have seen the extended edition. This one is a bit of a stretch. But considering if the theatrical had these scenes, it would have made the film well over 3 hours long. I understand this, but I would have loved to have seen this because it gives us much needed information, though we were just fine without it, and it would have added so much more beauty to the scenes. Now, this one we can take or leave. This is something I feel personally was a nice touch because Sam was kind of taking a back seat for a while with Frodo. And when Sam listens to the voices within the woods, knowing that it's a song about Gandalf, he adds lyrics of his own talking about the fireworks Gandalf had. It was just a nice touch. What else do you want from me? In the end, guys, there are many scenes within this edition I could take or leave. There are so many that I loved and those that I felt could have been placed in or without. But there's only one that I didn't really care for, and that's just Isildur dying after trying to escape. The rest are just extended scenes that add more dialogue, character developing moments that if I explained I would want in the theatrical cut, I would just get the argument that had to be cut out for this reason, or it would make the film well over 3 hours long. The extended edition is a nice nod to those who wanted more and probably who were fans of the book. Either way, this experience in the film has been wonderful. In the trying months I've had, this film has really kept me going and rose my spirits when I was at my lowest low. I have a heavy attachment to this franchise, but this movie in particular, it's grounding, it's exciting, fast-paced, and came at the right time in my life. Sadly, I didn't have many people I could share it with, but regardless, I'm sharing my love now. This is where I extend the question off to you. What was your favorite moment in Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring? What are some of your favorite extended moments? Which ones of them are ones that you wish that stayed in a theatrical cut? Which ones are the ones you could take or leave? Let me know in the comments. Alright everyone, thank you all so much for watching. If you've liked this, please like, share, and subscribe. And with all that said, have a fantastic and wonderful day. I will see you guys next month.